Okay, I'm going to cover a few things in this video so you can kind of see the basics of a few things I would start if I want to get my dog into rally or into obedience. First off, I'm going to use a clicker for her. You could also use a marker word. So when I get started with this, it's simply just going to be feed. Feed. She doesn't have to do anything. I don't care if she'd be standing, laying down. She could be moving around. As long as she's not doing something I don't like, all I wanted her to understand is when she hears she gets food. Next, what we're going to do, where is it? Is we're going to work on her pivot disc. So you want something that's only no more than hawk height for your dog, and big enough that they can get both front feet on it fairly easy. So this is the one for my dogs. And my goal in the beginning is, honestly, if she's never been on it, which for her she has, but my goal if she had never been on it would just be to get front feet on. And I would just break this down as small as needed for the dog so that they understand they're doing the correct thing. But for her, when I put this down, she'll probably step right on it. So the first couple times I'll just click and feed. And then I'm going to be working on teaching her to move around the disc toward me. I don't want to teach her to move away from me. We're going to do that a little differently, but this will help her understand her rear end works independently of her front. We'll also work on teaching her how to get in and out my side when we work on that. So put this on the ground. She's going to stand on it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to my right. And she's done this before, but with most dogs I would just expect a tiny little shift of weight, and then I would click or mark and then feed. And in the beginning, oops, get it, dropped one. We're just looking on her understanding. If I move, she moves towards me. I don't expect her to go all the way to my side just yet, but I want her understanding that when I go away, you move your butt towards me to some degree. Good girl. So I start all this with I'm facing her. And then what I will do eventually is I will actually go to my side with her, and I will step around the disc, and she'll move in towards me. And I'm taking tiny little steps as much as I can remember, because with her I have to take bigger steps normally. And this will work on teaching her to get her butt. And right now we're only going towards her right, so we'll switch to left in a minute. And I like to try to do full circles if the dog's that comfortable. If they've never done this and I'm just marking that little shift of weight towards me, or even just a tiny little foot movement, then I wouldn't go all the way around. I would just do like maybe 3 and then give them a reset cookie and restart. Ready, Peachy? Here, search. All right, and then when I want them to go the other way, so I'm gonna have her go to her left, this would be her going around me. Now, I don't want her to learn how to swing her butt away from me. I always want her near me, because regardless of what we're doing in rally, I either want her getting in, or I want her coming around, which means she's gonna go around in front of me. So for this one, I'm actually gonna switch with her. She's like, what are you doing? I'm gonna switch so she's on my right side. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to move this way and see if she'll move her little butt. Yeah, you're confused because we haven't done this a whole lot. This one's anywhere on. Around. Okay, we'll make it easier. So she hasn't done this one a whole lot. So instead, if I see that the dog is struggling and she doesn't understand this concept very well, then what I will do is I'll start at the front and we'll just do a little bit of warm up where I kind of just help her. And just use gentle body pressure to get her moving the opposite direction. And you do want to make sure you go both ways, because otherwise you're going to have a really big imbalance of muscle. Typically your rally and obedience dogs, maybe not so much rally, but definitely obedience dogs who do a lot of left side heeling and all sorts of stuff on the left, they build up shoulder muscles on one side and their leg muscles on one side more than the other. So we want to make sure that we're balancing. So here I'm just helping her, and I'm doing exactly what I told you just not to do, but to help her understand, I do want you to move to the right as well. We're going to start that way. So now, get some more cookies here. All right, you ready, girlfriend? So I'm going to put her on my right, and to make my life a little easier with her, I'm going to actually switch my clicker. Just get it to the left and my cookies to the right. And I'm going to just kind of lure her this way. And when she moves those legs, I'll click and then feed. Good. notice I'm gonna move my feet first and then lure her. Hopefully she'll notice my foot movement and actually start to go a little bit on her own at my feet. Did you find it? There you go. Good girl. So feet first. There we go. Feet first. Nice. I don't think I dropped it, but all right, let's try again. Find it. All right, I don't think I dropped it. So I'll get her to reset, just kind of near me. Good girl. So feet first. And then if she needs help, I'll lure her, so her back feet move. Good girl. I know, this is hard. This is a hard one for you. There we go. Good girl. Girl. Okay, keep break from that. So that gives you an idea. You can see obviously she's much better on the left because we do most things on the left than she is on the right. The next thing that I would work on a little bit is just some focus in heel position. So if your dog does not know heel position, we'll need to teach them that. However, most of the time you can just kind of lure them into position and get some good focus. So for her, if your dog doesn't know this, what I would do is just put Cookie on their nose, bring them in, and I would actually use guides on the floor or a wall so they get in the proper position. And then all I'm doing is having my dog sit near me. When they're focused on me with my hand in position here, they get a click and a cookie right from my side. Even better, food would come from your mouth straight down, but I'm not gonna put these gross freeze-dried treats in my mouth. And in the beginning, if my dog did not know this game, I would be clicking literally every moment, so they get lots of like rapid fire cookies. But because she knows this, it's every few seconds if she holds position. And then I can throw in little games for the dog so that it makes it more fun than just sitting here staring at me. Bounce, bounce. And all I look is just a little bit. Search, send them away. You could add other things. You could have hand touches in there. You could do spins, make it more dynamic for them so that they understand this game. Good girl. And this is just a focus game. And then what I would do is when your dog has done quite a few reps of this, I would start with just one little step. And when they move with me, they get a cookie. She's been outside running around, so I think the brain's a little fried. Come here, girlfriend, baby. Good. You ready? Strap. Good girl. Drop that little crumb. There you go. And for her heel word is strut. Now, if you're doing heeling where they're supposed to be looking out, you'll want 2 different heel words. So you want a heel that means look forward at your target, whatever that word is, and then you want a heel that means look up towards me. For rally, technically they don't have to look at you. You just have to be functioning as a team. It just looks pretty if they're looking at you, but you don't have to worry too much about that if you don't like it, or if you don't like the strain it puts on their neck or their shoulders looking up at you for a longer period of time, that's fine too. But for her in particular, when we start heeling, if I don't start with her head up towards me, she's gonna get distracted. So I always start with her looking at me, and then I get a little more lax. I try to get more head up at me because in rally, you're only doing heeling for short spurts, and then you're doing something else, which is nice. It's not like a big obedience pattern where they're heeling for a minute. But we do want the dog understanding. When you're in heel position, you're nice and square, you're looking up at your handler, wherever your target is. For a little dog, you'd look lower. And then when you give them their cue to look at you in heel, one step, yes, and feed, or click and feed. Come here, Peach. Sweetie. Ready? Strut. Good girl. Sit. Ready? Strut. Good girl. So you can kind of see how that works. And I, in the beginning with the dogs, keep their food real close so it is a visual target for them. And eventually I go to this as my heeling cue. Teaching her to look towards this general area. Again, I don't really care if she's staring at my face right now. With her, we're fixing a few heeling things. But I want her looking at this area. So starting with your marker, your clicker, or a yes, your pivot going both ways, just teaching the dog they can move their back feet. And then working on teaching them how to go with you if you're going around the disc, both ways. And then starting on some focus in heel position. And I would just stick to that. And then you can add a step when they've done a lot of that focus. But remember, this is very boring just sitting here. So rapid fire cookies in the beginning when they're learning, and keep it dynamic. So have them maybe do a couple moments of looking up at you focused, and then have them do a hand touch up here, or do a search and have them go, or whatever word you want to use, and have them chase a cookie, or have them do a little trick, a spin or something next to you, so that they're moving, because moving is way more fun than sitting still. We don't want this to become a chore. We want this to still be fun for the dog, because the basis and the foundation things of all these sports are pretty boring. But once you get going, especially in rally, there's a whole lot more movement, but we need the foundations to be really solid. Otherwise, you're not going to have a nice get in. You're not going to have a nice get around. You're not going to have a nice front. You're not going to have good heeling. You're not going to have good sit stays, down stays, walk arounds, all that kind of stuff in your turns. So you want to start with some really solid basics and just keep it fun for the dog as much as possible. So if you have questions, let me know. She needs a nap now.